A little over a year after its release on PC, console and mobile platforms, Oskar Stalberg's adorably addictive Townscaper has arrived on the Quest, and it's got a couple of extra tricks up its sleeve. For those unfamiliar, this is ostensibly a simplistic city builder game, but the more you play it, the more you realise there's actually more in common with a paint box or a box of Lego. It's very much less a game and more a creative experience. Every time you start, you'll be presented with a body of water. You'll click somewhere and a little island will appear, paving slabs on top and a nice little fence around the outside. You click it again and a house will appear, a cute little cottage. It might be birds nesting on the roof, some trees outside. You click there again and your house will get bigger. It'll get taller or it'll get wider, depending on where you click. And the game pops and plops, and there's great little visual flourishes, and it all encourages you to just keep clicking away, keep trying things, and before you know it, you've built an entire town, and it'll look something like Polperro in Cornwall, or a Greek island, or you can build up and out and have something that looks like a gentrified version of the favelas in Rio de Janeiro. At the start, it will feel like this is all happening almost at random, but you won't know what's going to appear when you click. But in the background, the game is working away, and there are rules and tricks that you will learn, and you will start to have more control over what you do. You'll know how to build a bridge and not a house on stilts. You'll understand the difference between a tall spire and a lighthouse and how to create those things, and know that they're not entirely random. The game is always working away in the background. There are things that are always under its control. There's a grid underneath the game area that you can make visible that is never straight lines. There's always interconnections in weird ways that will keep things interesting every time. And the game is always keeping things looking absolutely gorgeous. It's a game that's impossible to make something ugly looking in. The Quest version differentiates itself from the other platforms mainly by the way you interact with it. Obviously on a PC you're using a mouse, on a mobile phone you'll be pinching and zooming and all that sort of thing. In VR, the controllers appear in the game space, sort of recolored to match the game itself with labels on there, so you always know what each button and stick does. And there's not a lot going on, so you pick it up really quickly. You won't need to look at them very often, but you can look at the side of the controller, and that brings up the menu where you can adjust the position of the sun, which looks gorgeous in the game when you do that. And you can make that grid appear or disappear, and you can select colors directly on the menu as well. Something the Quest does new that I haven't seen in any other version of the game is you can interact with the colours directly in the game space too. There's at the end of the wand you can cycle through the colours and they sort of flick to the end. It looks quite cool. And you can also pipette colours out of the environment as well. I haven't seen that on any other version, so I think that's exclusive to the Quest. For anyone who already owns Townscaper on the other platforms, it's a bit of a tough sell. There's not a massive amount of difference between what happens on the Quest and what happens on PC or mobile. The interaction is the main thing, the way you push and pull and make the in-game area massive and put yourself right inside the little town you correct, or make it tiny and loom above it like a benevolent god. Those things you can't really get from the other platforms. And that's about it. There are also some exporting options on the PC version that aren't on the Quest version. So I think if you already have it on a different platform, it's really a decision for you on how much you want to experience that in VR, or how much you just want to support Oskar Stalberg on his single-minded passion quest to get this game to as many people as possible. It's not a massive amount of money. Obviously, people's disposable income varies, but it's $10 on the Quest. I think it's $6 on Steam, $5 on mobile. If you haven't already lost hours of your life playing Townscaper on one of the other platforms, it's an absolute easy win. It's a game you really got to have a go at, even if it's not really a game. It's $9.99. It's right at the bottom end of anything you're going to get on the Quest. It does make it more expensive than the other versions, but there's $3 or $4 in it versus the PC version. I don't think it's a game you should be playing on a mobile phone. It's far too beautiful to have your fingers over the top of it all the time and on a tiny little screen. It needs to be seen on a big screen or in VR. I think the VR version with the interaction and that level of tactility just edges it over some of the export options you get on the PC. So for me, taking it on its own merits as a Quest game at $9.99, I think absolutely this is an easy win for me. I think if you've not played it before, fully recommend this game. Overall, I'd give it an 8. It's delightful.